Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to the voice of the times. This Tuesday, October 19, 2021. For today's editorial, Summit gives Asean a chance to reinvent itself. In an unprecedented move, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or Asean, has decided to exclude the leader of Myanmar's junta from the group summit in Brunei later this month. It was a bold step for Asean, which traditionally lets its members settle internal issues with the least intervention. This time, Asean has lowered the boom on Min Aung Hlaing, who last February led a coup that ousted the civilian government and arrested its de facto leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, on questionable charges of election fraud. Myanmar's military has since cracked down on dissent, arresting thousands of civilians. The United Nations estimates more than 1,000 have been killed as troops broke up street demonstrations. The coup has triggered international condemnation, and Asean is under heavy pressure to deal more forcefully with the junta. Asean said during an emergency meeting last week it decided to snub the junta's chief for not following through on the commitment to work on restoring peace in Myanmar. Hlaing, who has declared himself Prime Minister of Myanmar's caretaker government, had promised to hold elections by 2023. Asean feels he is not doing enough to deliver on that promise. Some Asean member states recommended that Asean give space to Myanmar to restore its internal affairs and return to normalcy, a statement from Brunei's foreign minister said. In response, the junta said it was extremely disappointed and strongly objected to being shut out of the summit. The discussions and decision on Myanmar's representation issue was done without consensus and was against the objectives of ASEAN, the military-controlled Myanmar Foreign Ministry argued. The snub ignores the ASEAN's good traditions of fostering unity in diversity and resolving differences through consultations, and consensus would greatly affect the unity and centrality of the ASEAN, it added. The upcoming summit could very well be a defining moment for ASEAN. Since its inception in 1967, the regional grouping has successfully molded itself into one of the world's largest free trade blocs. Last year, ASEAN became China's biggest trading partner, with trade volume hitting $731.9 billion. ASEAN is also the US's fourth largest market. U.S. trade with the group in 2020 reached $362.2 billion. Despite its impressive economic profile, ASEAN is considered as less successful in the political and security fronts. Its anemic response to the Rohingya crisis has made it a target for criticism by humanitarian organizations, and ASEAN has not taken a firm stand on the establishment of a code of conduct to diffuse tensions in the South China Sea. The group needs to make more assertive moves if it wants to establish itself as more than just an economic force in the region. ASEAN must become a major factor in shaping the geopolitical dynamics that is emerging in the Asia-Pacific. The US considers the region as the new front line in its ever-growing confrontation with China and is seeking new partnerships and strengthening existing ones. China sees the Asia-Pacific as a vital link to its Belt and Road Initiative. It too is trying to widen its circle of partners in the region. In a 2013 working paper, ASEAN 2030 Challenges of Building a Mature Political and Security Community, the Asian Development Bank Institute pondered the fate of the regional group as it enters the next decade. ASEAN's leaders must stay united, strengthen mechanisms for cooperation, steadfastly maintain its neutral broker image among the great powers, and be attentive to their people's voices. By doing so, they will have a good chance of retaining ASEAN's driver's seat in Asian regional cooperation, the paper noted. To stay relevant and perform effectively as the fulcrum of geopolitical stability in Asia, ASEAN must also rethink its policy of conflict resolution. ASEAN's practice of sweeping conflicts under the carpet is no longer adequate, if it ever was, it said. That's a cue that ASEAN must not ignore. The Brunei Summit offers the group an opportunity to rebrand itself, and it can start by presenting a firm, united position against the repressive rule of the Myanmar junta. And that's the editorial for Tuesday, October 19, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.